Test. We're recording this test. Yes.
This is Josh and Jay's Excellent Video Game Show.
Hello and welcome to the Josh and Jay Show featuring Rowan Kaiser, episode 90. I am your co-host Joshua, joined as always
by your co-host Jay, and joining the pair of us as usual.
Not always anymore.
Not always, but usually.
Almost always.
Almost always.
Featured guest.
Featured co-host. Featured co-host.
I'm like the Heather Locklear of the show.
My friend's dad listened to our show, and he said, "So what's the deal with this Rowan guy? Is he like some big star or something like that?" Yes,
absolutely.
We're almost to 100. Woo! We're gonna do something special.
We'll get there. We got 10 episodes to go. That'll be another year and a half. So before we started, Josh, I know you're always lamenting how there are spiders popping out everywhere in your place.
Yes, yeah.
And I hit the can real quick before we started.
Yeah.
And there is a spider web.
Oh, it's a nightmare.
That's made in between the toilet and the sink that's right next to it.
Above the garbage can.
Above the garbage can, yeah. Big honkin' spider.
Yeah, I know him.
His name's Bert. Just chilling.
Yeah.
And when you're using the bathroom and there's a giant spider that's like 7 to 8 inches away from your exposed schlong, it's disconcerting.
He's also there, so you have to maneuver past him if you want to like throw some Kleenex or something in the garbage can. You have to do the Temple of Doom.
Nope.
Nope. Stick your hand through. Nope. And just hope he doesn't jump.
Oh yeah, he's like, "We are going to die," and
yeah,
and then she does it.
That's the thing about this place.
If I seem fired up, it's because
the adrenaline.
It's because my dick is scared of spiders.
Episode 90. My dick is scared of spiders.
Anyway, Rowan, how are you? You seen any good spiders lately?
I have some news.
What's the news?
My cat puked.
Oh.
No, that's not news. I got a job.
What?
Rowan got a job.
A job.
Say it ain't so. Say it ain't so. Ooh.
Wow, for the first time in like 7 years. Well, I guess I did the census maybe counts.
You will be the best Pizza Hut manager.
It's my dream. It's really my dream.
I actually had a dream. I have a dream. It was to, for a while, I really wanted to work at Papa Murphy's for some reason. Like, it was half ironic, and then it grew real, and I really wanted to work there. And then I applied, and I didn't get the job.
Wow, sorry, man. Bummer.
That reminds me of when I was, like, dirt poor. I figure, okay, I'll just apply to GameStop for, like, the holiday rush.
Yeah.
I know video games. I'm reasonably friendly. Like, that should be sufficient, right? Nope. Like, I couldn't even get a job at GameStop.
Did they do a personality test? I applied at Blockbuster, and they did a full-on personality test.
No, I handed in my application. They never got back to me.
I'm gonna put that on my resume.
You gotta have hookups to work at GameStop.
Apparently, even in the winter when things get real. Yeah. Anyway, I think my actual job thing is I'm going to do, all Josh and Jay in jokes.
Yes.
Every recurring aspect of it is going to be a Josh.
What's your job? Tell the world.
Like
Sing it from the top of the hilltops.
I am going to be editor of some kind of, like, lead editor. I don't know what the official title is.
Master editor.
Yeah.
Master editor.
Master editor.
Mm-hmm. That's one word. Master editor.
Of the Winter is Coming Game of Thrones site, which is a very big Game of Thrones related site. Wow, that's awesome.
That's pretty cool. That's right up your alley there.
That's great, Rowan.
I'm really proud of you.
He's the guy for it.
You only had to tweet for 5 years.
Yeah, seriously, like 170,000 tweets, and finally I get recognized.
That's amazing.
So, like, I figure one of the main things they want me to do is do things that aren't just whatever Game of Thrones news happens to be up. So I figure I'm going to talk about video games related to or about Game of Thrones.
Well, what game could you possibly talk about that has anything related to Games of Thrones?
Agnatic, cognatic. Well, this is what the column should be called, right?
Games of Thrones, yeah.
Games of Thrones? Like, there is no reason not to call it that.
Oh, yes.
The look on Jay's face there was like the kid in the N64 video.
Well, I can send a link to my parents. And
That's absolutely
actually,
right.
if I send a link to my parents, they won't know. Actually, they won't even know.
Yeah.
They're like, why is he talking about video games?
Yeah, well, the thing is because they call it that, so they would just think that this is... They wouldn't see... I don't know. You know what I mean?
What the hell is this Dragon Age business? I want my boobies.
You got to be down with the agnatic, cognatic conjurer.
You're down with
primogeniture.
Agnatic, cognatic, primogeniture. But yeah, like Dragon Age, Crusader Kings, the actual Game of Thrones game, Telltale Game of Thrones
Crusader
is
Kings
coming
2.
out at some point.
Oh, right. That's right. The Telltale Game
Crusader
of
Kings
Thrones.
3. Crusader Kings 4.
Yeah.
I have more Crusader Kings expansion packs than other Steam games.
Combined.
I think.
Crusaders King.
Yes.
Crusaders King. Do you have all the songs? There are a lot of songs in Crusader King. They should have called it Crusader Songs.
You know, all those song add-on things, they're just like the main songs remixed with like a flute or something.
But
like,
do they get all like hyper?
No, they just add like instead of just like trumpets.
So you've
the Russian ones, they add like a balaclava.
Yeah. Wait. You mean
balaclava that you put on your
the
head?
little is no, I thought that was like the little honey.
No, that's
flaky
baklava.
pastry. Oh, sorry.
Unless I'm getting confused, I always do.
You mean
so it's possible.
you mean a balalaika?
Isn't that an Italian pastry?
No, a balalaika is like a mandolin type instrument.
But there's also a balaclava or something. I don't know. That Russian.
But the Scottish would have bagpipes, is what
right,
you're trying to say.
Yeah, but
And the Americans would have dubstep.
Oh yeah.
The official genre.
Well, they did
of
actually
the
have
United
an
States.
expansion pack where Americans invaded Europe. The Sunset Invasion, the Aztecs come and invade Europe with like Viking technology. Mm-hmm. So they could have added dubstep for that. I don't believe that's what they did. They might have added country and western, but you know, dubstep would have been acceptable.
Cool. Yeah. Very acceptable. And I mean, I'm just kind of realizing this. If the dubstep would be the super American version, then I think the dubstep gun in Saints Row 4, like, what's more American than a dubstep gun?
Nothing.
Is dubstep actually American? I thought it was like Australian.
Maybe.
I don't know.
know.
Even not entirely sure I know. What
But
dubstep
isn't it pretty American to take something from somewhere else and say that it's ours?
Yeah.
And also
Hell
to turn
yeah.
it into a gun.
And also turn it into a gun? I mean, that's about as American as it gets. We stole your thing and turned it into a gun. America. Yeah. Down with it. Down with that agnotic, cognatic,
primogenitor,
primo
Geniture.
dubstep gun.
geniture.
Yeah. So, Rowan, you've been playing some actual Crusader Kings lately, right?
Yeah, I played a game last week.
Because they came out with 10 more expansions.
No, actually, it was the first time I played the game since they added India, which was a pretty big expansion.
Oh, so now you've got the songs that have like some sort of Indian,
Some, like,
reeded
messed up scale.
instrument or...
Well, I don't actually play with the music on most of the time. I don't even think I have those songs. I have most of the other
You
songs.
got the Bollywood version of the CK2 theme.
I can't wait till they go to China and we get a zither in that thing.
Yeah, me too.
You know, we'll play some zither music later.
Okay, we'll
do that in the break.
Throw some zither music in the break. Exactly.
We'll zither it up.
We'll
Yeah,
drop it.
But they announced a new Crusader Kings expansion yesterday, which is like my own personal Do You Care game.
Woo.
Do you care?
Yes, this is the only game news that I care about.
Rowan, do you care?
Yes, Crusader Kings expansion.
Rowan, let's go.
They're taking it another 100 years in the past, which I think is cool. It's called Charlemagne.
Rowan.
Get on the Crusader Kings 2 expansion when it comes out.
yeah. Get on CK2.
on
Actually,
CK2.
one of my dream games is like a social history game where you take one of the tribes that invaded the former Roman Empire in the early medieval period and you like turn them into a nation state.
Chillin' game.
Possibly.
That sounds cool.
Like Crusader Kings 2 is getting close to that. It's not like totally a social history, but it's not just military.
But we'll eventually go forward into space.
Well, they hook up with Europa Universalis. So there's like an official thing where when you finish a Crusader Kings game, you can import it into Europa Universalis.
And that one's in the future?
That one goes up to the 1800s. But then there's a fan thing where you can import that into Victoria, too.
Is there going to be an official game by these people, though, that's like the modern day?
Their Paradox is branching out for their Eurojank strategy.
And then a Matrix game, because the whole thing was bullshit.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're branching out. They're doing like more RPGs and more like speculative fiction sort of games instead of just doing historical strategy.
They're
games.
working on an RPG?
Yeah.
Do you know anything about it?
It's called Rune Masters. I think it's sort of Viking inspired.
Jeez.
I don't. I think we're good on runes these days.
And Vikings.
Like-
I'm not into Vikings.
They're into Vikings. They have that Viking game.
Yeah.
Viking,
Called Vikings.
Killer of Vikings, where you run around as a Viking and kill other Vikings.
Viker of Vikings.
But like the PR person that I talked to with them, who was super friendly, and she would like pitch articles for me to pitch somewhere else. Like she went to go write for that game instead of doing PR for them. That's what I know about it. It's Viking related. It's an RPG. She's writing for it.
So if it's Viking related, then does it focus on a different time period than you normally do in CK2?
No, that's the Viking era. I mean, I don't know how fantastical it is. Like, I haven't paid any attention yet. I don't care about previews except for Crusader Kings 2 expansions.
Gotcha.
Like, Crusader Kings 2 expansion going into starting at 768 CE.
You don't care about previews.
Yeah. So this.
Well, the ones I get paid for.
So the Viking, the new Viking song will have like some sort of woolly mammoth horn.
Oh, they already had the
right?
Viking songs.
Oh, okay.
Don't worry about that.
Sorry, obviously
That was the
noob.
Old Gods expansion, which was basically you can play as the Vikings now.
I want to. If I made a game, I would want it to have
a guy on in space on a planet
done, okay.
and his friend,
And
and his robot friend,
The mood,
and the zither.
I would want the mood to sound like the music that plays in the Pirates of the Caribbean ride at Disneyland, or the haunted house, like that sort of old. I don't know how you describe that music. Ooh, ooh, ooh.
Yeah,
it's all kind of like that. It's all kind of very cavernous.
Yes,
lots of reverb.
Lots of reverb, but it's also like a group of people singing.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
it's like a chorus.
Yeah,
and it's like you keep the beat by smashing your beer stein or your mug of grog on the table.
Yeah, and whenever I hear that music, I feel like I'm on one of those rides, and there's that kind of cool air that they pump in there.
So when I went to GDC for the first time, they had the dude who made the Halo soundtracks was giving a presentation on game music.
Yeah.
The dude who got unceremoniously fired and sued the company. Good job, Bungie.
Well, we don't know.
Whatever happened. It was a mess. But anyway, he was talking about how he had worked with this college student who was also presenting to like test how people responded to music, what sorts of music instilled what sorts of mood in people.
Okay.
And in order to create Ancient, it was males chanting. Like if you had men doing some kind of chant or, the thing, that was like the only way that they could successfully recreate Ancient. And it was like a 100% guaranteed way to create Ancient.
Temple of Doom. There you go.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the main Halo theme.
Yeah, that's true.
He also did a cool thing where he took like music from other games and put them over games.
I think I err on the side of whimsical with that whatever genre we're talking about.
It sounded like you were more with a playful thing with the Disney, but just the men chanting slowly is going to get some sort of feel of ancientness.
Yes, very very serious.
How do we get here?
I don't know, but
Crusader Kings music.
But speaking of sound design in games, I played a game this past week that it was like the brown note of video games sound production.
What game?
It was the PT demo that came out.
Oh yeah, I can't wait to
PS4.
play that. I saw a little bit of a video of it. We should describe.
Holy crap!
We should explain what it is. I want to play this so bad, and what a cool thing! What a cool idea! What a cool way to reveal a game! Everything about this is awesome. Let's explain what happened.
Okay, execution-wise, I don't know if there's ever been a better reveal for like a kind of a brand new thing.
Yeah. This is during GDC.
No, not GDC, but Gamescom.
Gamescom, yeah.
So
Which is European E3, I guess.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
like it takes
Germany.
place in Germany, and
The Eurojank E3.
It's the Eurojank E3. There's our episode title. Eurojank E3.
I like the other one.
Should just call it E4, and the fourth E is for Eurojank.
Eurojank Electronics Entertainment.
That'd be
Expo.
awesome if they called it E4, the Eurojank Electronics. Yeah, exactly.
Or
All right.
Entertainment.
So
I don't know.
So anyway, it was announced at Gamescom that that Hideo Kojima, the auteur of the Metal Gear games going back 20 plus
And
years,
sandwich photos on Instagram.
and sandwich photos on Instagram. Apparently, I prefer to follow Swery, who posts beer shots instead. So he's cooler in my book.
Oh, God.
Sorry, it's the only place it was going to fit in. But so they announced that he was working on a game with Guillermo
No,
del Toro.
They didn't.
They
I don't think they did. I think they were at Gamescom talking about Metal Gear Solid, and then unceremoniously this demo popped up on the PlayStation Store.
No, the demo popped up as the like that. You're right. That was the announcement. But they said we have a new title in the works that it's being created by these two guys.
They did that before people found out.
Check out the demo. I believe so, because I knew that it was their demo before I downloaded it. I didn't know what the thing actually was until afterwards. That was sort of the surprise.
I thought the whole thing was a surprise, but you could be right.
Spoiler.
But I do know that Kojima said he expected it to take a week for people to figure it out, for people to find out.
Well,
He did not understand how the internet works.
No, he didn't. But I am not finished with it yet. But I've only played it a couple sessions after work. But it's more than a demo. I mean, it feels like more than a demo.
Is it the Pan's Labyrinth of video games?
You just walk around a hallway.
Yeah, you just walk.
So it's the what was the one in the orphanage that Del Toro did?
I don't know, but I think like to frame this a little better. So this thing showed up on the PlayStation 4 store.
Yes,
and Jay will tell us all about it. It's like
it showed up on the
experience.
PlayStation Tour, or the PlayStation Store, they said they announced during the Sony press event. You can go download this demo. It's the PT stands for playable teaser.
When people got that, they didn't know it was those guys for sure, actually, because God, I know this. Oh, because they went out of their way to make a fake studio and to dumb it down the graphics a little bit.
You're right.
So that it would look like it was an indie studio that made this and wasn't affiliated with Kojima or...
You're right. It was made...
Didn't they try to do exactly that with the last Metal Gear thing?
But they succeeded this time.
Yeah, this is using the new Fox engine.
Yeah.
Which Metal Gear Solid 5 was created with. And you're right. I read that too. That Kojima said he had to like drop the quality down to try to make it seem like it wasn't made by a AAA studio.
So Jay can tell us about the experience, but what happened that day was some girl downloaded this thing. Nobody knew what it was, and she was streaming it to 4 people, I think.
Okay.
And she was the first person to get to whatever ending this is that popped up like. What reveal was, which is that it was a new Silent Hill.
Spoiler.
By Kojima and Guillermo del Toro.
Yes.
And there's like 4 people watching, and then it sort of blew up after that. But how cool is that this one girl streaming this game?
Good job, some girl.
Yeah.
Good job.
Also, my God, is it really called Silent Hills?
Well, I think it's Silent Hill 5, and the 5 is like an S, so it's like Silent
Shouldn't
Hills.
it be Silence Hill?
I keep seeing
Yes.
it written as Silent Hills, and I'm like, dude, what's up with this guy?
I think it is
Ground Zeroes.
written as Silent Hills, but I heard that the reason that it's I don't know. It's
No,
whatever.
Silent Hills is correct, but Ground Zero is correct.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
we're using that properly.
Right.
Ground Zero.
They should have called it the Silent Hills Have Fives.
So I saw Patrick Klepek playing this game. Klepek?
Sure, the giant bomb.
That was the
dude.
scariest stuff I've ever seen in my life.
Well, let me tell you about what it's actually like playing it, because this is one of the few games where I think that watching it, it does feel like you're watching a horror movie, but playing it, giving you the agency over the character in this game is terrifying. Like, it is, oh God, they use... Anyway, they do so much with so little, and part of that, going back to our discussion about sound design in game, it has a lot to do with that. I mean, I would say, hands down, horror's got to be one of the genres that is most reliant on sound design, regardless of what medium you're working with, right? I mean, a horror movie, like, the sound design can make or break a good horror movie.
I have surround sound in my living room. And sometimes I'll be watching, like I was watching The Office the other night in the dark.
Ooh, scary.
Right. It shouldn't be. But then I kept hearing, it was a bar scene, and I was kind of sideways on my couch. So my left side was facing the TV, and my right side was facing the rear speakers. So I hear all this like random bar noise to my right, and just totally freaked out.
You thought there were some hoodlums outside your window?
I don't know, something.
Well, so this game begins where it's first person. You wake up in a room and you walk through a door, and before you is a hallway. You're in a house, just like normal, looks like any normal suburban home. You're in a hall, and you follow the hallway. There's only one direction you can go. The door is closed and locked behind you. Who knows where that leads to or where you even came from. As you traverse the hall, there's just like some kind of normal paintings. There's a little credenza or little hutch thing on the right with a clock on it that lets you know that the time is 1 minute before midnight. And as you get to the end of this first hall, it turns a corner to the right, and around that corner is a doorway on your right-hand side, which at the beginning is closed and locked off, but you find out that it's just a bathroom. It's like a front hall bathroom. You pass that bathroom door and keep going down, and it's just the front hall. There's a front door, a little tile area, a little chandelier hanging down, and a little desk. And then past that is a small group of stairs that lead to a door that's looks like a cellar door. And when you walk through that door, it spits you out back at the beginning. Mm-hmm. So all it is, it's an L-shaped hallway with a bathroom that at some point you get to go in. And all you do is figure out what do I have to do during this walkthrough of the hallway so that when I come out the other end, it's different this time. So every time you're looking to see what's different, and so it's sort of an adventure game in that respect.
But the interaction is null or minimal,
super minimal. The only
simulator.
Walking simulator.
Hallway simulator.
It is. It's a walking simulator. I didn't even think about that, but all you do in this game is walk. There's literally one part where you push a button once. And other than that, the only thing you can do is walk around, look, walk with the left stick, look with the right stick, and then if you like click the right stick, it will zoom in. Those are the only things you can do.
And if you press the crouch button as you're running, then you can slide and you can shoot shotguns.
No, you can't do any of that stuff. You can't do
anything. Is there a skill
anything. Tree? There's no skill trees. There's
perks.
I can't wait to play this. I really want to play this with my girlfriend because she loves horror stuff.
Well, what happens is you start to think, the game begins and you're like, what's up with this door on the right? And you can hear noises behind it, and it's a slow burn, right?
Someone left the faucet on?
No, you figure out that as you make your rounds around, it's like playing the scariest version of Groundhog Day. I mean, that's pretty much what it is. There's, it's hard to relay just in story form because I think experiencing it is, you can't really do it justice unless
the video
you see it
I
for
saw
yourself.
Was so scary, and then I stopped it because I thought, I want to wait and experience this for myself.
Well, I mean, you start to unravel a story. It's like, I'm not a big Silent Hill expert. I've never really played the games, although I thought they always looked very amazing and very much my kind of game. But as far as I know, the Silent Hill games are sort of about unraveling what is really going on, kind of a thing.
In the town.
Yeah. So this is, you're sort of trying to figure out what your character's narrative is. Like, what is happening in this house? Because obviously there's some kind of supernatural stuff happening, but you don't...
Do you?
I mean, it must. The impossible physics of walking through this door and being spit out.
I just assume you walk through enough times, and then all of a sudden it'll say,
it's like,
"Hey, new game coming." And
no, it's like the MC Escher aspect.
You think
of
there's
it.
a resolution to this demo where it'll?
Yeah, I do, because it keeps progressing and progressing to the point where, I mean, it's got some really good jump scares in it. And it's got some parts where you're just, that thing where you're walking down the hallway. If you're playing with headphones on, I've got those surround sound headphones. Yeah. You hear footsteps get louder and louder, like they're coming from behind you. And you have control to turn around. That's the scary part, is that you get to the parts of this demo where you're like, I know something's behind me, but I know that I won't trigger anything until the game senses that I turn around.
Right.
And then you turn around and there's nothing there.
I wanted to watch the video of the girl finding the thing, because her reaction's supposed to be pretty good, but I didn't. I'm really glad. I really want to save it.
I mean, this thing is so much the real deal that it really made me think of, it brought me back to seeing the Blair Witch Project at Piper's Alley in Chicago at a sneak preview before, it was when the movie was only being screened at like 3 theaters in the country. So people didn't really know what it was.
Rowan, what do you think of the
Blair
Witch Project?
I've never seen it.
Well,
I remember it was a big deal on the internet.
Yeah.
And it was because of people like Jay.
Yes.
Who went to that preview thing and they flipped the fuck out.
Well, no, I mean, I didn't think that it was real, but but the lack of information telling you that it wasn't,
Yeah, they even did documentary style shows, or at least one show beforehand that was sort of...
Well, I just remember...
like on Discovery Channel about, the missing kids or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I remember walking out of that theater being like, I feel weird. Like, it made me feel really weird. It messes...
Well, that's the first time...
messes with your head.
It's the first time I ever saw anything like that. Like, now there's a lot of found footage films and things like that. So
yeah.
It was pretty cool at the time.
But it's just all of those images from the Blair Witch Project of, like, her towards the end where...
Spoiler.
Towards the end where, if you've seen it, there's just that guy... She finally finds the guy, and he's just standing there in the corner staring at the wall. There's like those kind of moments in this game where you're like, why is this happening? Like, why is this here? Why?
They haven't said when or if this is coming to Xbox or PC, but I assume it is, because otherwise they would have said it isn't.
Oh, God.
Plus, it's Fox Engine, and they just said, like, the Metal Gear Solid 5's coming to PC now, too. It's coming to Steam.
Yeah, I guess they are trying to do more of that on PC.
I think the whole thing with the Fox Engine is that it can go on everything.
The
same way, like, Square Enix came out with some Crystal engine or whatever, so they could port everything over.
I prefer the Mulder engine, but you guys can call it the Fox engine if you want.
The Dana engine?
No.
It's not the preferred nomenclature.
Scully engine.
Anyway, PT, man. Get on PT.
What's PT stand for?
Playable teaser.
I don't know why that's become like the name.
That's what it's called. If you go to the PlayStation Store, it's called PT if you go to download it. That's why.
Well, I really want to play that, and I don't have a PlayStation 4, so we are going to take a break while I go to Best Buy and buy a PlayStation 4 and play that and come back and talk about it some more.
Genuine enthusiasm.
Welcome back.
Good day to you, human.
So what'd you get with your PlayStation 4?
Risen 3.
Assassin's Creed 6 or whatever they're
Risen
on?
3.
Risen's Creed.
The Risening.
Risen's Creed Black Flag.
So we're in a little bit of a pickle here
Oh, I don't have the fickle pickle drop.
Because Jay, who plays these Eurojank games and loves these Eurojank games, told me to play Risen 2.
You can call me Euro J.
Euro J. So I got Risen 3. I was like, I'm going to play a Eurojank game for Jay. Just for Jay. And I'm loving it. Loving it. And then Jay is also playing Risen 3, and every time I bring it up, Jay, you just brush it off. You're just, well, I'm like, we can talk about it in the show. You're like, ah.
well, see, Jay is going to be reviewing this, right?
Yes.
So for the first article he's written in 2 years, instead of just talking and tweeting, he's going to be reviewing this for Game Critics.
Yeah, you can read it. You can read what I have to say about
So,
it. Later.
Brad Galloway just tweeted at us, I want to hear about Risen 3, and I tweeted back, hey man, Jay doesn't want to talk about it.
So if Jay talks about it, then that will taint the purity of his opinions,
I'm gonna talk
which will
about
come in the review.
I'm going to talk about it, and you guys can be interested or not.
No, I want to talk about it, but I want to.
It's my first Risen
Yeah,
game.
I want to give it over to you because I really want to hear what you think. I loved Risen 2, and we talked about this on the
right.
show.
You did.
Yeah.
This is Risen 2.5.
This is Risen 2.1. This is Risen 2.0.1.
Well, also, you're having some technical difficulties.
Nah, not any more than I had with Risen 2. It's fine.
Okay.
I like when I
It
was,
happens to a lot of guys.
when I was when I was texting you earlier. That's a good one, Rowan. When I was texting you earlier, I mean, we're talking about the difference between a game running fine and like a game running kick ass, on max settings. And I just wanted to get, every time I get a new game, it doesn't matter what it is, doesn't matter how Euro janky it is or not, there's always that moment, that like 5 seconds from the point where I start the game to the point where I realize that my computer's not going to run it like max settings, where I'm like, maybe this time.
You just started it, right?
Yeah, I'm literally
You
like
have zero momentum right now, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I've just scratched the surface, and so far, I have to look at the Steam menu title to make sure that I loaded Risen 3 and not Risen 2.
Okay. Have you started?
Which changed. Steam changed their icon.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
Crazy.
Steam blew itself, as I saw somebody tweet earlier.
Oh yeah.
Which is funny because
I can't. I
Steam
just
has
keep
not
making David
changed-
Cross when you say that.
Wait, Josh, Steam,
Do you care?
new Steam layout.
Yeah.
Do you care?
Not a new layout. They just made text blue, and their icon is a new icon.
Apparently, they also changed it so that you can organize your library a lot easier.
Really?
Instead of right-clicking every single game and then going through 3 menus to put it in, you could do them in bulk.
You can?
That's what somebody shows.
What do you mean organized? Like there's
You can
installed?
set, no.
not installed?
You set. I use
can
this.
create
You
new
set
ones.
categories.
Oh, I don't use that.
I set tons of categories for my games. I've got like, oh my god, I've got like all my sports games
God.
in my jock rock section. I've got my indie darlings. I've got it all.
One time I organized
my Batmans and badasses category
One
is
time
real
I
fun.
organized my iTunes like 20,000 songs into rock and rap.
I hate stories.
It was just rock and rap.
What did you do with Limp Bizkit
There was
or
no-
like Kid Rock?
Kid Rock is rock.
But is
Rock's right in the name.
Isn't he like rap rock?
That's rock.
Okay.
He's white.
Okay.
That's rock.
Glad that's settled. So anyway, Risen 3 on
Risen
iTunes.
3. Okay. So how are you out in the world? Did you get past that first island and resurrect and all that?
I just got to Antigua, which is the first island I chose to go to. I assume that you did the same thing.
Have you collected
Is that
any
the Demon
sea
Hunter
shanties?
Island?
Antigua is like the pirate headquarters island. Oh, so am I doing it wrong?
I've never even been there, and I'm 8 hours in.
That's weird.
But that's an interesting point.
Well,
are you doing it wrong? This game,
What class did you roll?
Demon Hunter. So you can choose one of 3 guilds, factions,
I haven't gotten to that part yet.
and when you roll around, they'll say there's like the pirate one, which is all that does is decide what kind of magic you're going to use. So there's the voodoo for the pirates, or you join the guardians who guard the mages, and you have some kind of magic with them, or these demon hunters and a different kind of magic for them.
See, I seem to remember that in Risen 2, there was only one kind of magic, and it was the voodoo magic. And
Yes,
and
correct.
Risen 2 was like, man, boy, was that game not trying to be sensitive towards others. Like you...
Oh, you got the big bad voodoo magic, man!
Yes, it's very. It's like there are the natives,
Yeah.
and they are very much in a position of just being slaughtered, and they've got like the bones through the nose, and they're the savages of the.
Right.
It's very politically.
So this has
incorrect.
that, but there's three different. There's two other groups.
This is a feature of the Eurojank, is that they have no idea of what like the history of the Americas and how messed up a lot
Yeah.
of the things they try
Well,
to
Europeans
say
are just
normal.
racist. They are.
Obviously.
Well, I mean,
Well, so are Americans. We're just
Yeah.
racist in different ways.
But yeah,
Like,
we're polite.
it's true. Americans are more polite about their racism usually.
So yeah, that's one of the things is I don't know where you're supposed to go or if there's a special order. It's there's no, like, you know how Skyrim will have main quest and side quests. I'm not getting that from this game.
It has a quest log.
So it's
Yeah,
more,
but it's not. But I don't know if it's divided up into like story or not story. Like it just seems.
So
Yeah,
it's
there-
more of a Divinity where the main quest is one giant log that makes no goddamn sense.
Yes. Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I guess so.
Can you see where this game has, like, there's something about the Risen games and Divinity that share a little bit of DNA?
Yeah, but they're the games I grew up with. So I mean,
Okay.
it's Western RPGs are just like this also.
Yeah, Divinity was Euroslick,
Yes.
Yeah.
except for the inventory until they patched it.
Yeah.
So Josh,
So-
let's start back at the beginning a little bit, because I just want to hear your initial impressions of like everything. What
My initial impressions were F this.
I think we should read your text messages. Like
Yeah. So
a theatrical reading of the text messages
No,
Josh
I
sent
just-
about how horrible this game was.
the tutorial, all that, I was like, this is some janky ass jank.
It is
This
some- yeah.
I can't hang with this. I don't know how Jay does this. I don't know why he finishes these games. I don't know why he plays these games. It wasn't until I got out into the world and I got to I joined the Demon Hunter faction and started exploring that island and doing those quests that I really started digging it.
well, let's start out with just the intro to the game. Sort of set it up if you want. Sort of the story, the way that the game is sort of laid out.
The
Break it
intros
down for us.
intros never really matter. I mean, it's like I feel like whenever I play a Bethesda game, that's the last thing they throw in, and it's the worst part. Especially
and then
Skyrim,
you go and download the mod that gets you past
that gets
the
you
tutorial
past it,
section.
so that you can just be in the game proper.
Well, I guess I meant more of like the narrative premise of the game, that it's sort
oh
of
God,
that it's this weird sort of combination of like Pirates of the Caribbean crossed with like sort of a weird generic kind of like Greek Roman mythology type stuff going on.
yeah. I don't know how Risen 2 was kind of all pirates, right?
Well, Risen 2 was pirates, but all the stuff with the Titans and the gods and this again, this sort of throwback to like Greek or Roman style mythology,
I don't know if I've
fantasy
seen
stuff
too
mixed
much
in.
of that. There is, I mean, in this one, the pirate stuff is only one part of the world and the game and
Okay.
the people, and then there's there's the Skyrim island where the mages are.
Yep.
That's basically it's pretty cool actually, because it's a foresty area. I was worried that this game was all going to look the same, and it totally doesn't. Like all the different islands are very unique, but I guess thematically it's God. There's demons coming back for some reason, and you have to stop them. I mean, that's the story.
Yeah, I mean, so you play a pirate who is, I mean, just to connect it to Risen 2, your character is the son of Steelbeard, who was a character in Risen 2. He's like this big pirate legend. And your sister, Patty, is also in Risen 2 as your companion, except in Risen 2, you don't play her brother, you play
Milady
another
has
guy.
boobs.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Like, it wouldn't be a Eurojank game if the like women characters didn't just basically have a corset with some sort of lacy thing that shows off their huge boobs.
Yeah, I don't know how important Risen 2 is to this game, but
It's not, because it's the same game.
Is it? But there's a lot of references to. Oh, I know that guy. Let's go find that guy. And obviously it's talking about Risen 2, but I never played it.
Well,
but the beginning is just. I mean, basically, you die and you're resurrected, and I just kind of threw that away as kind of like, oh, okay, well that's their amnesia. That's why you don't have all your skills anymore. That's.
Yeah, do you want to know how Risen 2 started?
With the same way?
You died, and then a guy resurrects you, and you start... And you want to know who it is that resurrects you?
Same dude?
Same dude. Bonesy.
Who is that weirdo dude from Waterworld, exactly?
Yes, exactly. And all right, I love the guy who's ever voicing him is like my
great.
favorite in the game.
He's insane.
He is the guy who reminds me of every great NPC in old adventure games. Like when you're playing The Longest Journey or something, and you're in the fantasy world in Arcadia, and you're in the market, and there's like this wizard who's selling like wizard wares, and he's like, "Greetings, approach my bench, and please choose." He's that guy.
Dude, I love
he's such a throwback to.
I love his asides when you're walking around and talking to people. They're the best. So in Risen 2, did you have multiple sidekicks and you choose between them?
Yes.
Okay.
That you can only roll with one sidekick at a time,
Yes.
right? So that's exactly how Risen 2 worked. As you go to the different islands, you sort of collect more and more companions, and then you swap them out. And each of them have different quests that you can activate if they're in your party or not.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So
There's in the quest log, it is divided up actually, because there's my faction quests, and then there's quests related to each island. And
yes.
then it's like sidekicks.
There's
a whole sidekick section.
You're right. They organize them more like geographically, I guess, and thematically more than they do of importance. Like there is, like you said,
but
it's
now
hard
that I
to
think about
tell.
it, at the very top, there are some that I think are probably
the main quest. Yeah, that makes sense.
But I still don't. But it still kind of just turns you loose, which was a huge problem for me yesterday.
Well, this is weird because I feel like in Risen 2, you were sort of given more direction about, this is probably where you need to go first.
Right.
And
well, they do say in the beginning of this one, they're like, you need to probably should go to one of these three places because only these three people can cure you. And one of them is the Guardians, one of them is the Pirates, and one of them is the Demon Hunters.
Oh, so maybe I chose the route that will make me join the Pirate Guild because I went.
But when you get to that point, I didn't go test all the other ones. But when I got to the point where I was like, I want to join, he's like, are you sure? Because you're not going to be able to join any others.
And if a Eurojank game is telling you that you better be sure, then you better damn well be sure.
I do now, especially. So yesterday, I land on this island. I'm very early on.
Are you on Takariga or whatever it's called?
I was on this tiny island. There's a little
I want some Takariga.
town there.
Can we go there after the show?
There aren't that many quests there. It's not one of the main big islands, right?
Okay.
So
there's kind of like 3 main big islands, and then I think there are 2 or 3 smaller islands.
I think one of the ones I have is like a DLC. I'm not sure. Ghost or Fog Island. I don't know what it's called.
Okay.
But I get to this island, and I'm just shooting around island to island to island to island, just because I wanted to check stuff out, and I didn't know where to go exactly. And
sure.
I don't want to, I don't want to miss out on anything.
Right.
So I get the island, and the dude says, and I didn't know this was a big warning, hey, you better be ready, because there's a pirate out there, and he looks pretty tough. And I was like, okay. So I finished the 2 quests on the island. There's nothing else for me to do on this island, because it's not one of the main islands, which have tons of quests.
Right.
So then I go out to my ship, and there's 4 cutscenes in a row, followed by a 5-staged battle. Like, I kill these one dudes, and then another round of dudes, and then another round of dudes, and then a final boss. No checkpoints. No saving in between. I'm completely underleveled for this. I can't handle this.
It's the Dark Souls of Risen.
Absolutely. But I would get to the 3rd wave for the first time and beat them, and then see a 4th wave. And I'm like, oh, come. You got to be kidding me. I must have done this 10, 15 times. I was throwing my controller. I was so mad.
Could you not just load up a save from before you
I had
started?
just done save inventory, where I have this thing where I'm like, I've got 200 saves. I should probably delete a bunch of these. I'm not going to go back.
Bummer.
So, my bad.
Yeah.
And now that I think back, I was warned, hey, there's this guy out in the sea. He's pretty bad. That was them saying, hey, why don't you stay on this island and do a bunch of quests and level up and stuff, I assume. But they give you a ship to sail around.
Yeah, right off the bat, they give you a ship to sail around.
But I did eventually, I beat that level, or that mission, so I'm back. But I really like this game. I really like the dialogue.
So, okay,
I love the voice acting in this game.
it started out...
Hold on, let me see what Josh said about the game yesterday.
Well, while Rowan is
I have
finding
notes.
this, I just wanted to say that I love that you are loving this because I kind of equate it to, like, you know, I like beer. I'm a big beer drinker.
Sure.
And earlier I had written a tweet that like Risen and Eurojank games in general are kind of like the sour ales of video games.
Sure.
In that there is a pretty large barrier to entry. Like if you try a sour ale, like a classic sour ale for the first time, even if you like beer, they're pretty gross. They're like really tart, and they're not sweet at all.
It's not for everybody, and it's an acquired taste.
It's not for everybody, and it's a super acquired taste. But the people who get super into sour ales, it's like the first sip is always the worst, and then the more you drink it, like it gets better with every sip. And I think that's a very strong parallel with games like Risen, in that they start out and you're like, this is so weird and janky and everything's wonky and it doesn't feel quite right. And I think it's
Nothing feels right.
I think it's kind of gross. But then you start to realize that like, oh, well, if I don't button mash with the sword and I kind of pace it out, you get used to the pace, you get used to all the weird things about the game, and you fall into your own groove with it.
Then the camera zooms in on your ear.
Then the camera zooms in on your ear
But
while
you're in your groove.
but
You
you're
don't
in,
care.
Yeah, but you don't care because you're in your groove and like you're feeling it. Like you're like, oh, now that I know what's up with this and I know what to expect, like I'm into it.
The protagonist in this game,
It's Christian Bale.
and he's in on the joke as far as I'm concerned. Like when he's talking to some horribly voice acted gnome.
Well, he's one of the worst voice acted characters in the game.
But also the best, because all his dialogue is just fucking get on with it. Just
Well,
tell me what the thing is. Tell me where to go. I don't care.
My favorite thing was there is a point at the beginning where you're talking to Patty, your sister, before this is in the prologue before your character dies, and she's like, "Do you think the treasure's up this way?" And he's like, I don't fucking know.
Yeah, he
he's
doesn't
like
know.
straight up. Like
I mean, that's how I talk to my sister.
No, but for the characters in video games usually have answers to things. Like that's why who writes a line of dialogue to let you know that your character doesn't know anything? You know what I mean?
care.
You know what I mean?
You run into this guy, and he says, "I'm homeless. All my stuff was stolen," and it's a get his stuff back quest, right?
Yeah.
But the protagonist is just like, "You're fucking pathetic." Like what the? He's awesome.
Well, I took a screenshot. That's a close-up screenshot of your playable character or your playable Christian Bale, and maybe we'll use it for the header of this episode because it looks exactly like Christian Bale. It's crazy.
Speaking of his face, do you remember you were talking about the beanbag in The Last of Us?
Yes.
And how it's not just a picture of a beanbag. It actually has the polygons and everything. This is the opposite of all that. This is just a picture of a face, like on a square. This is like a cube.
These are like Morrowind characters,
Yeah,
basically. Like they straight up just. Oh, it's like GoldenEye characters.
Yeah,
Like,
definitely. Yeah, exactly.
That's what you're looking. It's Christian Bale's face that has been strapped to a square on top of a digital body.
So I found Josh's review of the game.
Oh yeah,
And all Eurojank. I hate this game right now. Evidently, sailing can get you into missions. So sailing around, pretty low level, and now I'm locked into a 4+ stage battle with cutscenes and no checkpoints. Probably on my 15th try now, and I can't leave this tiny island with no quests and do other shit because leaving the island triggers the mission. Might start over. I have literally thrown my controller across the room after dying over and over. 8 out of 10.
Welcome to Eurojank.
Thank you for reading my private text messages.
But I love that despite that, you love this game.
Well, I got past that part. Yeah, so when I read an interview with Bethesda talking about Morrowind one time.
Okay.
Way after Morrowind had come out, and they were talking about the draw distance because there was a lot of fog in that game. When it came out, you couldn't see very far.
It
And they
took place
said-
on a volcano. I
Right,
mean,
but they said they played around with that, and at one time they pumped the draw distance so you could see as far as you wanted, and it looked like you were in Disneyland. Like, oh, there's the Matterhorn right there, and there's the other thing right there. That's also how Risen 2 feels. When I'm on one of these islands, it's like, it's pretty...
You mean Risen 3, but
Risen
yeah.
3, yeah.
It's okay, they're the same
They're the
thing.
same. But it's pretty rad. I like Disneyland, So when I look, so this has one.
Yeah, you're like, there's the temple of whatever up on that hill,
Right.
and there's the
and you load into these maps, which are pretty big, I think, and it has that like Dark Souls 1 where you can kind of get somewhere and look back and see where you were.
Yeah.
So I dig that.
It's
about the game.
just to put to bed the whole.
This must look better than Risen 2 because I like how this game looks.
All right, if it looks, earlier when I walked in, I was like, it doesn't matter how many shaders you put on a turd, it's still like a turd.
But maybe it does.
But
it does matter.
But this game, they put a lot of shaders and some bloom or whatever on the turd.
Yeah.
And it looks better. Another thing that you mentioned that I liked that you caught, not noticing that it was a difference from Risen 2 to Risen 3, was even though they use the exact same environments and the exact same maps and the exact same geography as Risen 2, they added more sort of background animation stuff happening. There are these super colorful tropical birds flying around, and it just adds more vibrancy. It's got like a prettier, sort of pulpier visual to it.
And it's really varied because there's these different environments you go to. Like I said, there's the Skyrim environment, and there's the there's the Mordor environment, and then there's the pirate the voodoo environment.
Yeah, yes.
There's all kinds of ambience like that. The creatures are super varied, and the quests are really varied. They're like Fable quests. They're not just, we talked about this earlier, but they're not just go kill 5 things. They're all kind of interesting. They're all kind of different.
Well, the combat. I think we talked about this when I was playing Risen 2. Is that the
missions? I mean,
but the combat itself is very. It's like crappy Fable combat, like you had said earlier.
It's bad Fable.
It's bad Fable. It's got that same sort of. The characters ride that line between sort of whimsical Disney character and sort of serious RPG character. There's like somewhere in between.
Just in between.
Just in between.
Just enough to not be either.
Yeah, it's like you can't, if you
Worst
don't,
of both worlds.
it gets you. No, it's actually it is kind of the worst of both worlds, but together, and this is another hallmark of Eurojank, is that these disparate, seemingly subpar elements, that once you put them all together, that somehow the sum of those parts is greater
so
than
it's like
the whole.
vodka and Dr. Pepper.
Yeah,
Oh, God.
I
They're
guess
terrible on their own, and then you put them together, and it's a perfectly fine drink.
Okay.
Okay, I don't know about that.
I think
We may
because-
to
We'll have
put
to
that
get
the
vodka and
test,
Dr. Pepper
but-
next week.
Because this game walks this line between serious and ridiculous, and I've chosen to think the game knows it's ridiculous.
Yes,
It works for me.
Yeah, and you have to, because it is, I think that they are aware of their limitations, right? They're aware that this is not Skyrim.
It is better than Skyrim when it comes to loot and leveling and things like that. There's a carrot on the stick that is there for me. There's lots of skills I can't afford because I don't have enough money or enough abilities. There's loot I want that I don't have right now.
There's
all
outfits.
I want. Yes.
The outfits, the
In
hats.
fact, I had 3 different hats, all the same stats, and I spent about 5 minutes deciding which hat I wanted to wear.
See, that's what I'm talking about.
Like,
Now,
like Skyrim, that falls away pretty fast. Like, it just doesn't matter. It just,
yeah, when it comes to Skyrim, your loot is all about min-maxing whatever you can.
right, and it doesn't matter. It's the same combat at the end as it was in the beginning,
Right.
basically.
And it's crappy min-maxing. Like,
Absolutely.
Skyrim
Like
is-
the Fallout game, there was a scarcity to things, which
Yeah.
kept me going through the whole game. Oh my god, I found a gun with bullets. Great. You know, I needed one. I was
Sure.
out.
Well,
And there's all kinds of different skills you can learn in this game too, like a bunch, like crafting type skills that you don't know. You don't start with them. You have to purchase them. Are those your Risen 3 notes?
I got some notes, and I basically made 2 columns of like all the
Oh,
stuff.
you have to take notes.
Like all the stuff that's. I have a hotness versus jank, basically 2-column comparison instead of a pros versus cons. And under my hotness column, I've got that I like those little combo finisher animations. It's like the only good thing about the combat is that sometimes your character sometimes
We don't know why.
Don't know why or when.
I tried to explain that in the beginning, and I
kinda-
hit the button 3 times. I don't know.
Kind of no rhyme or reason, but sometimes
awesome.
if you do a combo and you pull it off at the end, he will perform a varied finisher, which is like I think 3 or 4 different ones in a row, as opposed to seeing the same one over and over.
Oh, what's that called? So Witcher has it too, where when someone's attacking, if you strike at the right time, like a repost.
Yes.
I don't know how to pronounce that word.
Yeah,
I've
I think
only
it's
seen it
I
written.
think it's
Riposte.
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 It's if you do it's like a parry and attack at the same time.
Right. Dark Souls kind of has it too. This is the first game.
It's really hard to do it in Dark
This
Souls.
is the first game that I had successfully.
It's a counterattack.
Successfully pulled off these counterattacks.
Yeah.
I think on a regular basis.
Yeah, it's got good counters.
But you have to learn that skill. You don't start with it.
No, you don't start with it. Yeah, you have to. Not only do you have to level up your attributes that let you use skills, but then you buy skills with gold.
With gold.
Yeah, you pay like, hey, I'm not sure how to do this riposte counterattack move. Here's 500 gold.
It's gold.
Now
plus,
I know it.
Plus abilities, so you also have to level up your abilities in
Yes.
order to buy certain skills at a certain level.
It's got attribute thresholds.
Yeah.
So your melee has to be at least 25 to learn this skill, 50 to learn this cooler skill.
I want to keep talking about this. Let's just say goodbye real fast to our KWTF listeners.
Goodbye to our KWTF listeners. You can listen to the rest of the show at unwinnable.com/Josh and Jay Show, or just check us out online on Twitter at Josh and Jay Show.
Unwinnable.com, where video games, comics, and pulp culture is what is on our minds. Looking for an analog feel in a digital world? Follow the exploits of the Unwinnable staff through their voices and words every day at unwinnable.com. Be sure to tune into the Unwinnable Broadcast Network for Unlistenable, the official Unwinnable podcast, Unmixable, our series of mixtapes, and more. Unwinnable. It's good for your brain.
We're back.
So,
Notes. Oh, wait, so one other thing
we were talking about the combat, and you
right.
didn't want to. You wanted to keep going with the
Yes, I
combat.
did.
Something else with the combat. Something about how you don't like muskets, probably.
Oh, I thought you had notes.
Well, I do have notes, but I thought you wanted to say something else about the
I
combat.
thought you were saying you're all right, Spider. Oh yeah, I like ranged combat. I like playing Robin Hood. We've talked about that before.
Yeah, but it
This
doesn't really work in this
Yeah.
game.
There's a ranged skill that's for. It's so weird. There's a ranged skill that's for muskets and shotguns. Mm-hmm. And cunning, I think, is below that, which is for pistols and crossbows. But pistols and crossbows are for melee combat, which is why they're not in the ranged skill category. It's really weird.
Yeah,
Like pistols are for you're hitting some guy and you roll back and then shoot him.
essentially pistols, crossbows are in the same category as throwing knives.
Yes, they are actually. That's in the same category.
So
it's
if
like
you,
a finishing move. Almost.
So if you think of a game where you have I don't know, like a rogue character who's got a one-handed weapon, like which in this case would be your sword, then in your offhand you can carry throwing knives or a pistol and
or a crossbow.
but you use it in close quarters combat. So it's sort of I think at some point in Risen 2 I was using this combo where you would like hit a guy 3 times with your sword and then you finish it off with like a pistol shot. And
are there combos that grow? Like, are there more combos?
I think there are.
That's cool.
I think that they come in the form of like skills you can learn. So if you learn a certain skill, it's that skill is not necessarily a whole combo that you learn, but it's like this is a certain attack that comes at the end of the combo that you already know. So now you can like tack one more button or you know, hit on the end of the combo you already had.
Yeah, it's very melee focused, which is weird. There's this range thing. So eventually, earlier today or yesterday, I figured out that range means I found my first shotgun. So so ranged. I haven't been putting any skills into it. I went out to go shoot stuff. Like maybe you can sneak and do all that.
You can sneak in this game.
You can sneak, but you know, I went to go shoot a pig or something and. It had a weird like timer, like a circle that goes over the pig that fills up, and when it fills up, then you can take your shot.
Yeah, it's
meanwhile this pig's coming at me. Like
exactly. That's why ranged combat is usually not very viable.
Although, is the pig coming at you before you even shoot?
No, you know I need to do another test because it actually seemed like the pig ran to a certain distance and kind of maybe kept it, and I wonder if that was tied to that it knew I was ranged or that was a coincidence. So I want to try it on something else. But either way, it wasn't fun, and I think this is a melee combat game.
Well, the reason that you kind of have to go with the melee combat to start with is for the exact reason you just said, is that loading and getting off a ranged shot takes too much time. Your enemy's going to beat the crap out of you before you have a chance to get that shot off. So anytime that you are attacked or you attack an enemy before you know they can pull off their own attack, it interrupts it. So if you're aiming your rifle and then you get attacked, that interrupts your shooting your gun, and you have to start from scratch. So you could potentially never get a shot off and just keep getting your ass kicked.
But that made me wonder why they didn't have an option to toggle your ranged and melee weapon, because I could see it as, you sneak up, you shoot something, and then they all run towards you and you pull out your sword. But you would have to go into your inventory and like equip your sword instead of your other thing.
Yeah, maybe if you use a mouse and keys, there might be a way to hotkey flipping that. I feel like
they didn't push me in that direction at all.
No,
they didn't mention
this game doesn't push you in any direction.
Yeah, but they didn't even say. I don't know. It seems like it's not really the way to play the game. It never would have worked in that hellish mission I was on.
Well, skeletons. I mean, it's sort of. It's not that dissimilar from another Eurojank classic, the Witcher series. You remember the combat in that game? It's like it's real tricky and real. Like it has a very specific timing and rhythm, and
it's almost as if Europeans know how bows actually work, and wouldn't be very practical.
Yeah, it's
when fighting a wild boar.
Yeah,
at close range.
Yeah.
But then again, there are the fire arrows from the Total War series. They fucking love their fire arrows.
Yeah.
Where you hit a person with a fire arrow and they burst into flames.
Yeah, I could go for some of that. I love the perks in this game, which are tied to treasures that you hunt around the globe.
Yeah,
and they give you perks.
Yeah,
it's pretty rad.
Perks. And the have you noticed that for once the flowers that you pick, they can boost your stats?
Yeah, I pick everything
permanently.
Yeah, it's useful to gather flowers.
Yeah, it's actually useful to pick flowers.
It's useful to do everything in this game. And the other,
it's true. The loot is not like none of the loot is arbitrary, which is something that is really like kind of crazy that of all RPGs to do that right, that this does that right.
Yeah, and 8 hours in, if I find a sword I don't want and it's worth $20, I could use $20.
Yeah, absolutely.
The other thing that I don't know why I feel this way, and Rowan likes things like this, is that GTA, everything's nailed down, right? You walk into a room, there's coffee cups, ashtrays, everything's just kind of nailed down.
Oh, yeah.
In Skyrim, nothing's nailed down. There's ashtrays, coffee cups, but you can pick it all up. In this game, some stuff is nailed down, some isn't. Doesn't bother me in the slightest. And it seems like something that would bother me.
I love when you're just walking down a trail and there will be a skeleton of something there, and if you walk over it, you like kick it down the trail. Your character will there's like a rib cage, and you're like, oh, so that's not nailed down.
No,
but
you don't even know. I spent like 10 minutes trying to kick this barrel down this like, really steep stairs yesterday. I had to get it just right because I wanted to roll in the perfect way.
Yeah, no, you can totally do that. It's like
That's the same thing as in Fallout 3. There was that little town on the overpass, and I loved kicking shopping carts off that thing. Loved it.
That's awesome. I never thought to do that, but
it's the best. Nothing is better.
But I got you. What else do I have on here? Yeah. Oh, my notes say that it's Fable Charm with the mouth of a Witcher, which I think is.
Are you serious?
I think that's a pretty good way to describe
LA
it.
face with a Witcher booty.
Fable face with a Witcher booty.
There's
go
definitely
with that.
He's definitely got a potty mouth. I love how condescending. I love this game right now.
Well, it's
warts and all.
Yeah, it's got a lot of warts, but those warts are like way more interesting than looking at like a flawless complexion. You know,
I don't know if this is a spoiler or not, but.
Maybe. Spoiler? Who cares? It's Risen 3.
Right, no, I know. But it's just this game, like I said, the missions are all different. You do find stuff when you explore, and the stuff is interesting. It's like I found a well, and I kept trying to move the camera to look down the well, and I did a bunch of stuff, went back to the well, looked again, went back and looked again. I'm like, fuck it. And like jumped. And just fell like 400 feet and landed in this pool and found this guy and like all this stuff happened.
Yeah,
that kind of stuff is rad.
The thing that I liked about Risen 2 that I'm sure is just as bountiful in Risen 3 are how there are a bunch of side quests that you could never see. You could just never see them in the game. Like there's tons of stuff that if you just don't trigger it or happen upon it yourself, you'd never know and you'll never see it and you'll never miss it either. But it's there. It's got that. Like you can seek out as much gameplay as you want in this game.
Yeah, and I am one of the worries I have is that I will get a Kingdom of Almondbard if I try to pick up every single. But I'm just loving the side quest so much. I don't know.
Well, also I think now
that game was very cookie cut. That game felt monotonous very fast, much faster than this game.
Have you noticed if the because I want to say in Risen 2, when you would sort of branch out from... You get to an island, you get to the main town and talk to people, just like any RPG, and then you sort of branch out into the wild areas where you have to fight dudes. You can can't you sort of clear those areas out, right? Enemies don't really respawn. There's sort of a set number of enemies to beat.
Seems like... Oh... No, they respawn.
Do they?
Yeah.
Well, I just sort of remember being you're sort of walled in from you have like a ceiling because of your level. So sometimes you have to sort of like Divinity. You got to do a little bit of leveling up before you can go out into some areas.
you can get it handed to you for sure.
Some of the stuff that I have in my jank category though, we were talking about how excellent... You should
just post these notes as your review. Just a screenshot.
Yeah, D-pad menu, fuck you.
Oh, fuck you in the fucking face. That fucking sucks so hard, especially on that 360 controller. Like trying to hit down and right, like in the middle of combat.
Josh and I both prefer to play this game with a 360 controller, although you can absolutely play with mouse and keyboard. If you normally play with mouse and keyboard, this probably would not be anywhere near as big of a problem because you have hotkeys. You've got hotkeys. Well, with an Xbox controller, you've got the D-pad, and the D-pad is supposedly 8 programmable hotkeys, right? All the directions of the compass.
Yeah.
However,
so 4 of them are inaccessible.
Yeah, four of them.
It has diagonals.
Yeah.
It uses.
Yes.
Jesus fuck.
Yeah. Diagonal.
You were right to be mad at that.
But it's not if you have something on the right D-pad, it's not a press right and then A to select it.
You just
press right.
Well, that seems fairly normal.
Not if you're trying to get to the down and right and you're using up all your healing potions because that's mapped to your right.
I suppose. Okay.
It's
so essentially you like I only, and I remember this from Risen 2. So I only program
up and down,
north, south, east, west.
Yeah.
Do not program the diagonals.
I was trying to program the diagonals
if you can even get the diagonals to program,
right?
Like,
yeah, exactly.
Even setting them.
I was thinking about
ridiculous.
switching to the PS4 controller for this very reason.
That's probably a good idea.
I have the Xbox One controller, but that's not wireless with PC right now. There's no dongle, whereas the PS4 controller is Bluetooth, and I have a little Bluetooth like USB thing. So
yeah, I got that thing.
Yeah,
that
might be better.
It might be, but yeah, the
why don't they do it like Dragon Age, like, and probably I assume Diablo. I'll find out next week. But where there's unused, I'm pretty sure there's unused triggers right now on the controller, and that thing where you press the trigger and then it remaps the buttons, like that would be perfect.
Yeah, well, you like
that's what Dragon Age
it's like
is.
you hold down a bumper and you'd get that radial menu, and then you could hotkey from the radial menu if you wanted to, or you could just choose an item.
I like the one that does the A, B, X, Y buttons, but you press the trigger and it remaps those to your skills. Like that's the hot. I hate radial menus.
No, I know. I was gonna say like that radial menu is not good, but if we're wishing we had that radial menu, that goes to show like how much is wrong with it.
Sure, and also pause the action if it's impossible to get to something.
Yeah, that's true. But between that and the camera,
the camera is is 100% manual. I don't know when was the last time I saw that. Like you could turn and run whichever direction you want, and the camera will stay stationary, fixed unless you move it.
True. And did you notice that if you click the right stick, it will zoom in from like close-up third person, like midway third person, and then far third person?
Thank God that is on the right stick.
Yep.
Because if it was on the left stick, I'd be clicking that thing by accident every 5 seconds. Like
yes.
in GTA when I was honking the horn.
Yes, absolutely. And instead, it just makes you sneak.
Yes. Yes, which I do in combat all the time.
All the time.
Also, there's something else. Well, it'll just flip you. It'll flip you for real. If you're like, I'll go to look at the map. The map, you know how it has a little triangle to show which direction you're facing?
Yes.
Like that is based on which direction the camera is facing, not which character is facing. But also, it'll flip you if you go into the menu and then back out. It'll reset the camera and then flip. I don't know. It does all this weird stuff.
It is weird.
It's pretty janky.
It's janky. The other thing I wanted to say was to tie it back to our sound production discussion from earlier. So this reminded me most of probably a game like Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines, where every person who has recorded dialogue sounds like they were recorded in a totally different studio than everyone else. So you've got your main character where there is never any background noise, and he sounds like he's talking from right up here all the time.
Yeah.
And every other character is like, back here, how you doing?
Yeah.
And there's
Maybe
no.
they were all recorded at once on the same mic.
There's no consistency. Like
the main character was at the mic, and all the background characters were surrounding him.
Yeah, like two people are sitting are 3 inches from each other having a conversation, and one of them sounds like this, and the other one sounds like this. And
I've also had the Oblivion thing where it'll be a different voice actor for like the second line, but not the third line or the first line. Only once so far.
Or the thing my favorite thing in Oblivion would be like when you talk to a guy and he's like, "Hello, I need you to do this thing, blah blah blah." But then when you stop talking to him, he's like, "Are you the hero of Kavach?" He's got a different ambient voice than he does from a direct conversation voice.
Watch out for snakes.
Mad props to Risen 3 for having day-night cycles, and the characters all like go to bed and go to work. Love that. Love it.
Yeah, it does. It does what it does, man.
It is what it is.
It is what is great is that it is completely unapologetic about its decisions, even if they're bad.
Yeah, you gotta wonder if they don't know or don't care or don't have the manpower. There's gotta be a reason these games are like this.
Well, I liked, when Rowan and I were getting breakfast on our way over here, Rowan had a really insightful comment that I think speaks to Eurojank in general. Where did you get that quote from?
It's from the director of The Immigrant, wrote a thing about Apocalypse Now for the 25th anniversary. and he just included a parenthetical that was like, if your work has no flaws, it has no ambition.
Yeah.
Just like randomly aside said that. It's like, hello, role-playing games.
That ties into something else Rowan said. I think, Rowan, you described Eurojank, or you defined it as when your ambition...
like exceeds your means or
yeah.
something.
By far.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
So it...
And you know what, though? I do think they're getting closer. I think I enjoy this game, but didn't get into Risen 2 because they just inched past whatever line they needed to cross for me
I
to be
think
into
Bound
it.
by Flame crossed that as well. Like, it definitely had a lot more technical competence in certain ways that you wouldn't have seen on PlayStation 4 because the frame rate was all weird, but
Right.
on the PC, like the animations and just kind of the general flow of combat was a lot better than most other Eurojank games I've played.
I'll probably pick that up on some Steam sale.
Well, you should. I was
Not on PS4 sale.
Well, we were saying I was discussing pretty much that exact topic with Rowan when he dropped this awesome quote. And Rowan asked me, he's like, oh, because the difference between Risen 2 and Risen 3, he's like, oh, so it's like an Evil Dead type thing. And I'm like, yeah, if Josh, you probably liked Evil Dead 2, but not 1 or something.
Sure.
So a lot of people think that Evil Dead 2 is a remake of Evil Dead 1 when technically it is a sequel. It's exactly the situation here. Like Risen 3 is technically a sequel, but it feels like a remake of Risen 2 with just slightly different stuff, slightly bigger budget. It's like you said, they're instead of being like 2 feet behind the line, they somehow got that first down.
They're in the bottom like of AAA. They're on the just there, barely.
Yeah.
I don't know if AAA is even right, but just okay.
It's like it's like a half a A.
Yeah. Right.
It's a half a A game.
Right. There is like when you okay, I'll stop when you're purchasing skills, you purchase them from people, not from a store.
Yeah, trainers. There's trainers.
Yeah, and they cost certain amounts of gold. No indication of how much gold you have on that screen at all. So you just hit it and hope you have enough money, which doesn't really matter unless you're trying to pick your skill based on how much money you have.
Right. If you're like, I have a certain amount of money, I don't need anything else, and I just want to spend it all on skill. I mean, that's kind of how you have to do it, because then you just buy stuff until you can't buy stuff anymore.
Yeah.
Like when it gives you when it tells you, oh, you can't buy any more skills,
right.
you're like, okay, I guess I'm out of money.
Yeah. Oh, and one thing they accidentally did right, I'm sure, is is that the button for skipping dialogue, I have subtitles on, so I'm reading faster than they talk.
Sure.
The button for skipping dialogue, which is B, does not jut you out of the conversation. So you can hit B to your heart's content.
Yes, you can. They did. You're right. They did the thing that that BioWare does not do.
Right.
Like the
You
one
can't accidentally screw up anything.
Yeah.
You just hit B. Which normally I'd be like, dude, B should end the conversation, morons. but
in this version,
in this case,
they did it wrong in a good way.
yes, you have to actively go to the end. Oh, except the "I'm going to steal from you" dialogue.
Oh,
is above the end conversation. The "I'm going to steal from you, but don't have the skill to not get caught and have you attack me" button is right next to the end.
yeah,
dialogue.
that's. I forgot about that one where there's like a pickpocket from conversation option, pretty much.
Yeah.
Which is weird, but very piratey.
Right.
I'm gonna pickpocket you to your face.
Right. Luckily, it looks like when you screw up that kind of stuff, they kill you, but you don't die. They basically just kill you. It takes away some experience points, and you can get back up. So the first time that I ever died in this game, I was at a pub, and I talked shit to some dude, and he attacked me, and I died, and then I got back up. I'm like, oh, it's like Fable. You lose experience, and that's it. Mm-hmm. So then I was in a real mission, and I got killed by a creature, and was waiting to get back up. No, it's just in those circumstances.
Yeah. Yeah, it's weird. Probably, I mean... Why the difference? I don't know. Just cause.
Just cause Eurojank. I think we gave friend of the show Brad Galloway his fill of Risen 3 talk.
Yeah, well, I'm sure there'll be more because, like I said, I'm just scratching the surface. So the more I play it, and the more differences I find between this and Risen 2, or maybe I won't find any, and I'll just be like, hey, we'll just rerun our Risen 2 episode. And
do you have a deadline?
Not really.
So you don't have to rush through it. That's good.
No, I mean, Brad is. He's been really mellow about it, and he's like, don't take a year. But they're really, he knows that I work and I'm also doing like some school stuff. But
yeah, I just mean like I think it's unfortunate when games like this have to be reviewed on a deadline because there's so much to just sit. You have to relax to play this game. Like if you're rushing through it,
the game is out. I mean, I have no trouble putting the time into this game, and it's not. It's not like a beast of an assignment or anything. It's very manageable. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to do it.
I reviewed Divinity.
I know that's why you have a job now.
Yeah, Rowan's eyes right now just glazed. The Divinity glaze.
That would be horrible.
It's giving me anxiety just thinking about going back to that game.
I reviewed Divinity immediately after reviewing WildStar.
Dang.
God.
So I never want to review a...
Did you sleep for a month?
It's not that I slept, but I didn't accomplish anything else. Like,
when you were done,
all my free time. Oh,
it would have taken like a month-long slumber.
I think I did. I think that was when I started getting sick. So I kind of extended the sick days, to...
Right.
Yeah.
I had food poisoning 3 days ago. I don't need to do anything.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. I was just looking at my notes. This is the last thing I want to ask you about Risen, because maybe
you care?
Maybe it's just a thing with my...
Do you care, Josh? Do you care?
Maybe it's just a thing with my wonky ass computer. Like, I think I have a Eurojank PC.
Yes, definitely.
But have you noticed that there is like a quilted texture over everything in the game?
The game has moments where it looks pretty good. No,
it looks fine, but it's not my monitor or anything. Nothing else looks like this.
I think I know.
But there's sort of like like a quilted toilet paper kind of texture that is over. I noticed it because like there was a close up of a dude, and I'm like, why is his skin like textured?
We'll fire it up.
Toilet paper.
Why don't we fire it up and we'll take a look? I don't know. I
Okay.
don't think I've seen that.
Anyway,
this game,
it's like a paper mache RPG.
It looks. It's exactly as you described earlier. It's very polished on top of GoldenEye. It's the GoldenEye with like ambient inclusion and all the anti-aliasing you need and all the shadows everywhere. It's like that. It's that.
This is like a perfect segue into the next question I want to ask.
Yes,
shoot.
So my question to you, Jay.
Yes.
As the Eurojank term coiner.
Do you care?
And as Banner Saga expert, is the Banner Saga Eurojank?
I think I coined Eurojank.
Did you? All right, as Eurojank coiner related.
I also coined like.
Nintendo.
Kotaku blog?
You're the Kotaku blog guy.
I coined survival strategy.
I'm sorry, what was Jay's question?
It is Banner Saga Eurojank.
Or as I call it, the Hulk game.
And
Hulk?
Yeah.
Banner Saga does not feel like Eurojank to me.
It did not feel like Eurojank to me.
It feels Eurojanky to me in that it tries to do things that it isn't quite able to do most of the time, but some of the time it can.
It might make up for that with the slickness of the UI and the animation.
Slickness of the UI and animations and stuff, but like some of the times like it's just like the plot is just faces talking at one another, and sometimes they actually move, and some of the times they actually like move and talk.
That drives you crazy. You brought that up a few times now. That really gets your goat, man. I love it.
I think it's not. It doesn't really.
Why did they do this?
It's
they
more
not pick
that
a thing.
It also like kind of applies to the game, because like the bulk of the game, or like the bulk of the sort of meta game, is you're watching your caravan.
Yeah.
And you're waiting for something to happen with your caravan as it slowly moves across the screen.
Oregon Trail.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and like
HD.
Like there are other ways they could have gone about that. They could have given you some kind of control over it. They could have done this in any other ways. They took the simplest way out.
But that is, I think, exactly touching on how it is not Eurojank, because Eurojank games never take the simplest way out. Okay, a Eurojank game takes the thing and then makes it as complicated as humanly possible, more complicated than they could ever pull off, and that's what makes it Eurojank.
But I do feel like it kind of it's writing checks that it can't with its mouth, that it can't cash with its ass or whatever the phrase is. That's how it goes, right?
All right, Palin.
It's not the preferred nomenclature.
That's yeah, I like that one. Not gonna fool me again.
Fool me once.
No, I do get what you're saying from a narrative perspective, that presenting you with those harrowing narrative choices, like, it doesn't really give you that much control or that much I don't know, I guess agency over those decisions. You kind of, you make a choice here and there, but there's such sort of blind, just like, cover your eyes and chuck a dart at the dartboard and hope it sticks in the right spot.
Which tactical thing is the best idea, and then all of a sudden you find out that someone died or someone lived because of whichever thing that seemed like a minor tactical choice was.
Yeah, it seems really arbitrary. There's a lot of really seemingly arbitrary things that become these huge, massive, like, turning points and twists in the narrative that there's no way you could predict them. So it's almost like, I mean, I get that game is. That's a lot of the point of that game is trying to present a sort of inescapable, I don't know,
inevitable tragedy.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. Inevitable tragedy. And by blinding you from the repercussions of your choices, that's how it hopes to succeed in presenting that. And it does, but not without also making you feel like, well, that's bullshit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But like the further I've played now, I'm into chapter 3 or 4.
Okay.
And like that idea actually works really well with the tactical combat.
It does.
It's like a really sort of subtle, just like, this is just the right feeling for the tactical combat.
Yeah.
Like the way that it has your strength and your hit points be connected. Like that sort of has a feeling of weakness when you have to make tough choices.
Josh hates that about this game.
I didn't say that.
I mean, it's weird. It's a strange thing. And I think with most other games, like if XCOM had this, or if Massive Chalice,
there was
or
a
whatever,
game that had that, and I can't remember what it is.
There are a few. It happens sometimes.
But it does. It is cool how it makes narrative sense.
Yeah, I didn't say that I hated it. I said that it made me rethink my approach to the game and how I played it.
It made you rethink whether or not you wanted to play it.
Well, it made me think that I didn't have a strategy and that I needed to develop one.
Oh, okay.
And like, it doesn't have healers yet. I don't know if it will get healers, but like that's sort of the idea that you have to make sure that your choices are gonna be worth it, because you can't just say, yeah, I'm gonna cast Cure Light Wounds and things are gonna be better.
Oh, Heroes of Might and Magic 3. That's exactly what it reminds me of, because you're destroying what are hit points or number of troops or hit points, and it had the same thing.
Okay, which also makes narrative sense. Like the less troops you have, the less powerful your army is.
Yes,
makes sense.
So yeah, it's got that sort of like, what you do is at least a semi-permanent choice, and it may be a permanent one. Although I think I've realized that there isn't actually permadeath in combat, even though the animation makes it look like there is.
Yes, there is not permadeath in combat. I think that there are some combat instances that are story triggered combat incidents. Are there non-story triggered?
No, wait.
Combat?
I lost a character permanently
during
really early on.
Yeah, but that's part of the story. Like that happens no matter what.
Okay. Yeah, like I had one combat in the second chapter where this kid joined my party, and like my party lost the combat, and they're trying to retreat, and he like gets in the way of an attack on someone else, and he dies. And I'm like, okay, and like I got screwed over. Like this set my whole party up to be screwed over for the next several combats.
Sure.
So I reloaded. I won the fight. He had survived, and then he died anyway.
Yeah. This game is weird in the sense that there are a few characters that when they are like shortly after they're introduced to your party, you can lose them as party members based on dialogue options, and then they're just gone. And it's the kind of thing where you could talk to somebody as if you're playing Dragon Age. Like the first, oh god, this is embarrassing, but the first time I ever played Dragon Age Origins, I never found Leliana in Lothering. So like I didn't know she was a character in the game until my second playthrough, which is crazy because she's one of the best companion characters in my opinion.
She's a rogue.
I would say she's the worst, but I mean, at least in terms of combat, her personality's all right.
Yeah, I guess I meant narratively speaking. I mean, I played as a rogue, so it didn't matter that she wasn't in my party. But there are some characters that I've played through Banner Saga twice. The second time, I actually finished that final battle, which is so brutal. But the second time I played through, there was a character that I rolled with through like the entire game the first time I played it, and in my second game, it was like 2 minutes after he was in my party, I was like, "Oh, I guess
Bill's dead.
He's gone. I guess I'm not playing with him." They usually don't die. They usually decide to. They're like, "Well, if that's the way you're gonna be, I'm gone. I'm out of here. See you later," and they leave. Like you piss them off or something. And that can happen with a few characters.
That happened in Dragon Age 2 with Isabella with me.
Oh, really?
Yeah, at the end of the big Kunari chapter. I think it's the second main one.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Like there's a point where it's like you're about to go take the Kunari out as they're rampaging, and she's like, "Hey, Shepherd or whatever, Hawk."
Pepperdome Shepherd.
Hey, Shephawk, I need to do a thing, and you should come with me. And if you're like, no, she just bails.
Oh.
And the way that I was playing my Hawk was like kind of a single-minded, sarcastic badass who, like, that Hawk was going straight after those Kunari.
Renegade Hawk.
Fairly renegade. Sarcastic Hawk always, but
Sarcastic Hawk. Chris Castro Hawk.
And she was sleeping with Isabella at the time, so I had that romance like going.
Oh, nice
romance.
Yeah, romance in quotes.
I mean, that's one of the things I liked about the game is that it actually acknowledges that you can have sex with people that are maybe not your true love forever.
Oh, right.
I like at the end of Mass Effect 2, when after you beat the game, you can go back and have sex with everybody. You get all the achievements.
Yeah, Mass Effect is not so great at that, although it kind of like accidentally presents it in cases like that.
Well, you know, Banner Saga, like I said, Banner Saga is the Dragon Age 2 of XCOMs, so that makes sense.
Have you guys seen the new Dragon Age 3 videos or any Dragon Age?
Yeah,
it looks super good. Did you see the tactical combat? Looks so good.
Looks so good.
Like the tactical mode?
Oh, tactics.
Just flying around the battlefield with that tactics camera.
Wow, that's awesome.
That comes out.
It's like you get to play it on PC. Wow, that's awesome.
That comes out, right? It's coming out.
It's still coming out. October,
November. Maybe they moved
November.
it to November.
They delayed it from September.
Some kind of Ember month.
Oh yeah, because it was real soon, and now it's not as soon, but still this year.
Still this year.
Yeah,
and I'm super excited about having a Game of Thrones job where I can request it. Like that's my main point of excitement about this thing, other than having a full-time job.
That's right.
It's that I now have an excuse, regardless of whether someone assigns me the review.
Hey, I'm baller.
You have to play all things with games and thrones and dragons.
If it has the word "Sere" used to describe knights, then it's Game of Thrones related.
Oh, that's great. If that's the only qualification, then I think you've got a bunch of games coming up to play.
Not that many, but
well, we'll see.
I think there are some Guy Gabriel Kay books, which are some of my favorite, like low-ish fantasy, political fantasy, kind of like Game of Thrones. So that's a good excuse to like talk about those on the website. But definitely Dragon Age is the main thing. I'm getting Dragon Age 3. Like that's
I'm getting it 5 days early. EA early access.
Oh, are you got that?
That's $30 for a year, and it comes with Battlefield 4 and Peggle 2 and all these other games. So why not?
Yeah, why not? That's great. Yeah, I would do that.
That's $30 for a year, and then all these games.
Yeah, $30 for a year is hard to argue with. Yeah.
Well, that's
kinda jealous.
So that's Origin on Xbox. So then, is everyone else going to follow suit? How many $30 a years are we talking about here? You know what I mean?
Well, geez, I mean, I have to say, as a PlayStation 4 owner, when I saw that EA thing, even though it was announced only for Xbox One, I was like, oh, thank God, maybe PlayStation Now will get its act together, you know? I mean, I don't know if you've seen the pricing structure for that, but it is it is so dumb.
But PlayStation Plus and Xbox Gold both give you free games. Like PlayStation Plus is a really good deal, I think.
It is a very good deal. I just realized I've got like 25 games on my PS4. I didn't even know there were that many games, and most of them were free.
Yeah.
So I didn't realize it.
That's just starting to happen to me now. The Xbox One's just starting to get enough of those free ones, you know?
Yeah.
But they're like, I don't want to play any of them.
Well, all right. So literally the PlayStation Now, a lot of the PlayStation Now pricing is like, okay, a game that is probably...
That's their streaming thing.
Yeah. A game that is... So if you can even get a game to play, which apparently that's pretty wonky, like the thing that tells you whether or not your internet is fast enough to play a game. Like, and I was reading Polygon's Justin McElroy talking about how he did the test and then bought a game, and then only after he bought the game did it say like, oh, sorry, your internet's not fast enough to play this.
Yeah.
It was like, no, fake out.
Yeah, I don't know about that thing.
It was like, your internet's fast enough, not...
That can only work. Dude,
Psych.
What was
Psych.
the one that before this that did it? On Live?
Oh.
Yeah, On Live. They had this already, and they learned this can only work as a Netflix model, like on the Netflix model. Like you could pay monthly, get all the games, stream them as much as you want. Like that's the only way. This a la carte thing is not going to work.
I mean, if I think that the best way to do it would be to, I mean, if they have to do some sort of pricing structure, do it by, consumption in a way that makes sense. Not by title. Like you can't charge somebody per game. You can't say,
or you can, but not as a rental when you can buy it off Amazon for less than it costs to rent it.
You can pay. It's like $3 for an hour,
right?
To
but
play.
Can you own the game at a discount? And just always be able to stream it whenever you want because you own it? Can you buy it?
No, I think the max one is like 3 months
90
for $60.
days, right?
Yeah,
that's
90 days for the price of to own the game. Who would ever do that?
See, if they just did it as a thing where it'd just be yours there for you to stream when you want.
Or I'm saying like maybe you want to pay for 40 hours a month, and then you can just play whatever games you want for 40 hours a month. Like, I mean, as far as, I mean, there's got to be a way, because if you could just pay $20 a month and play whatever you wanted, then people would probably stop buying games if it worked really well. Like, what's the incentive to actually buy a game? They control the
library, though. I mean, it's not like you're going to see. I mean, they'll keep games that people are going to. Well, I don't know. Like if they, like Final Fantasy games, like anyway, AAA games that are, I don't know what I'm trying to say. What I'm trying to say is they control the library, so they can only put kind of dumb games you wouldn't buy anyway on there.
Like Final Fantasy games?
Sure. They don't have to put The Last of Us on there.
Well, I guess I'm saying I would be willing to pay if I knew that, let's say I downloaded a game and I play it for 20 minutes. I'm like, this game sucks. Well, if under their current pricing structure, I just wasted whatever money I paid.
Right. You could play it the way we play Steam games, which is we play 10 minutes of 100 games.
Yeah. Right. So, I don't know. It's something to think about. If they're not going to do straight up, just here's how much you pay per month for the service, right? Mm-hmm. For the service in general. I just think that no matter how they price it in the end, it cannot be tied to individual titles. Otherwise it's a waste. It's pointless.
Yeah, I don't.
That's my 2 cents.
The video game rental business went out of business,
right?
Because you can buy a game for $5.
Yeah,
that once cost $60. So it doesn't matter. It's
Nobody gets Netflix so that they can pay 50 cents per thing that they watch.
Also, the whole point of this was backwards compatibility, right?
Well, one of the things I was most excited about it was being able to play PS3 games on my PS4, because obviously the PS4 is not backward compatible, but with this service, it sort of is.
If I owned a PS4, I would be more excited to play PS2 games on my PS4.
Well, that goes without saying.
Sony is no longer the corporation of the people.
All I'm saying is I saw Brian Taylor playing the X-Files PS1 game, and I really wanted to get on that.
Get on PS1.
That's different than what you... Oh, you reviewed the Lost game. That's right.
That was for 360, man.
I don't know. I just remember you reviewed something.
Yeah, that was some kind of game.
Well, guys, it's been another interesting,
I'm exhausted.
Another amazing episode of the Josh and Jay Show featuring Rowan Kaiser.
So full of Eurojank, man.
So full of Eurojank.
It's like Eurojanktacular.
Shoot us an email. We'll answer your questions.
Yeah.
Josh and Jay Show at unwinnable.com.
There you go. At Unwinnable, or I'm sorry. Yeah, follow at Unwinnable as well, but also follow at Josh and Jay Show on Twitter, and again, unwinnable.com/Josh and Jay Show for all your episodes.
I got 3 more ats for you.
What's that?
At Rowan Kaiser, at Jay Pullman, at Joshua Doe.
If you want to, whatever.
I don't want to. Thanks for listening, everybody.